The thoughts, views, and opinions expressed on the Canna Connect show belong solely to the individuals and do not reflect those of Canna Connect and its affiliates, sponsors, or partners. Canna Connect does not promote or facilitate any activity that violates state or federal regulations. Everything you hear here is strictly for educational and entertainment purposes. It is not legal advice, it is not financial guidance, and it's definitely not medical direction. Seriously, don't take our word for it. Even if someone on the mic sounds like they know what they're talking about, and they're probably crazy smart too. Regardless of how legit our guests may be, you should always do your own homework, consult with your attorney, and understand the risk you're taking before you do anything when it comes to cannabis. Our intention is to keep it real. If you've got a problem with anything we've said, take us to court.
Welcome back to the Canna Connect show. I'm your host, Stephen Eigenmann, and today I am joined by Luis Vallestros, Director of Retail ID at Metrc. That's METRC. I believe it's Marijuana Enforcement Tracking Regulatory Compliance.
Yes.
Wow. That is an acronym. And if you're in the cannabis industry, you know Metrc. And if you don't know Metrc, this episode's for you. Make sure to also catch our brand new podcast debuting in January, featuring the live recording of Canna Connect with Metrc. Luis, we couldn't do it without you.
No, I appreciate it. This has been amazing. And I think you're doing a great job of just kind of getting information out there to the Minnesota licensees.
Thank you. Yeah, we gathered a ton of information last night through the submission of the questions. I'll make sure to follow up with you on that as well. Like you say, and like we touch on in this episode, getting information out to the Minnesota licensees is essential to a strong rollout. And we at Canna Connect and you at Metrc, we're doing as much as we can to ensure that the licensees have the knowledge and the information they need going into this new venture.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's a matter of just continuing communication, partnership, and then, let's get some answers out to licensees as quickly as we can.
Amazing. Let's jump into this episode. Thanks for joining. Like with our event last night, that was what I wanted. That was the vision of what I wanted in August when I called Jake from Dutchy and said, hey, would you guys want to get on board with this? We're going to do monthly education events. Munir's here. Munir's on board. Brittany's on board. We need Dutchy to help hold us down. And like from vision to reality is not a 1 month rollout. So to see things really come to life last night and to have a full room and to have food, to have beverage, to have hemp-derived drink options, non-alcoholic beverages, like that was everything we wanted it to be. And the number of licensees that were in the room, like connected to a license or holding one, over 50.
Yeah.
And besides the Legacy Cup, which is a consumer-focused, competition-driven event, besides that, and that's the marquee cannabis event in the Midwest, like other than that, that's the most concentrated number of licensees that have been in one physical room since this market got started. So
that's awesome. No, I mean, I think I was telling you yesterday, it's definitely one of the best events that I've seen kind of put together from the panels that I've been and all the travel that I've done across the country.
Right.
Because you had the right people in the room, right? You had the content. It was very good to just start from like, hey, 101, we don't know anything. Mm-hmm. We're afraid of this big green monster that's coming down the line. Yeah. How do we start demystifying some of those issues? So I think it was great. I mean, it was very well put together. The event the space, it was awesome.
Yeah.
You give it, the option for people to go outside if they want to, kind of take a little break and relax and kind of do their normal life.
Yeah.
So for me, it was 10 out of 10 from what I've seen. I definitely want to keep being part of these, expanding as you guys do so. And I think you guys potentially maybe go into Maryland some of those times.
Oh yeah.
And maybe I'm getting a little bit too much ahead of things. But
that'd be cool.
But it would definitely be super, super awesome to see that because this is some of the efforts that certain communities need.
Mm-hmm.
From the very beginning, we don't know anything, or this is the first time we're very late at seeing markets like some California when they started as well.
Yeah.
And then what I'm seeing also in Maryland is like that handhold that you need just because we're here to support each other. And it's an industry that really wants to make sure that we're all succeeding.
Mm-hmm.
Just growing up.
And so for folks that weren't there last night, introduce yourself, give a little background on who you are, and then we can get into it a little bit. Like, so even how you say your name.
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely. So Luis Vallestros. So that too, it's funny because the two L's make a Y sound. So I got to tell people it's Westeros, like from that show Game of Thrones.
Right.
So like a V in a Cronove. So it's Vallestros. There we go. Vallestros. So Venezuela, born and raised, came here to the U.S. 17.
Okay.
on a soccer scholarship. Very, very green eyes, very excited about the world he was coming up.
What position did you play?
I was a goalkeeper.
Okay.
So I was what people never expect, to see a goalkeeper, but we're a little crazy, have this personality. So I think it really flows and fits well. So yeah, I was at a tournament back home my senior year before I transitioned to the US, had my scholarship and everything aligned, hit my head with a post really, really hard, blacked out, for like a week of my life was kind of like gone in that moment.
Wow.
And then, some restrictions on my diet started coming in, had to take some medication, no alcohol.
Okay.
You're 17, you're going to college, you have no parents.
That's the time.
You're starting a fraternity, right, with your friends, and you still tested. So I still kind of tested, went ahead against medical advice, and it was really, really bad for the first year.
Okay.
And that's where I discovered cannabis, where I discovered my love for the plant.
Yeah.
It's just, okay, can do alcohol, but I want to make sure that I feel still a little bit sociable, that I'm feeling good with myself, that I can take less medication for just my headaches, my migraines, and my epilepsy. And I think cannabis has really been a great ally for that. So for me, is coming into the US, changing my career entirely from thinking I'm going to be a soccer player to what are we going to do to kind of reinvent ourselves, and then founding cannabis, falling in love with the plant, and then just seeing how can I just be part of this industry and help, the people that have been in my position, that maybe come from backgrounds where, in your country, you get caught with just a little bit of cannabis, and that's 5 years in prison. To just kind of destigmatize that, there is a lot of potential benefits to it.
Yeah.
So for me, kind of coming into the US, getting some of that experience, learning, and then figuring out once I graduated, it's like, all right, how do I plug into cannabis?
Yeah. Were you able to
great.
continue your career in soccer throughout James Madison, or was it no?
It was before I even got there. Yeah, the doctors back home in Venezuela told me I couldn't keep the same level of effort. So it's like when I was doing like the intense workouts and all like that, I would get this like really massive migraines that were like debilitating. So I would not be able to get out of bed for the rest of the day.
Especially with extreme training with D1 soccer, like I can understand why.
Yeah, and so like I did tournaments. So I was in a tournament in Europe with like the Real Madrid Academy. We're playing with a couple of teams, so it was definitely like national teams across the board, and it was like that expectation, and if I couldn't keep that level, I wasn't gonna stay there.
Understood.
So it was definitely like a change of mindset, and cannabis really helped me just like, okay, how do we get back into the world and kind of re-emphasize that energy into something that's going to be positive for the world.
I know it's personal, but maybe I've never had a chance to ask anyone in your situation. Have you ever used Epidiolex?
I have not.
Okay.
I have not. No.
But Epidiolex is known as like the patented CBD medicine. Okay. So it's essentially CBD isolate that I believe is owned by a pharmaceutical company. It's a medicine, and it's coming from the hemp world here in Minnesota. Like one of the things about hemp, or about CBD, I should say, is it cannot be put into food or put into food or beverage, because you cannot put medicine in food.
Right.
And Epidiolex is a patented medicine that I believe is more or less CBD isolate.
Okay.
So when the Minnesota legislature was working on the low dose edibles, the allowance for, these are not considered food. There's something other than food. Therefore, you're able to put CBD into a consumable product, for example. So Epidiolex is often talked about, but I don't know anyone who uses it personally. That's why I was curious.
Gotcha. No, I mean, I'll do some more research. For me, it was more at that time connecting with a neurologist that was really open to, kind of having those discussions, and then figuring out the best path for it. Obviously doing some testing in college. So as you're a kid, right? You're 17, 18. And then now just taking something that I know works for me, some CBD drops, and some of that will just help me like calm down when I'm a little.
I'm a huge, I use Future Compounds is my favorite brand for CBD and CBG. But with Minnesota, we've 2019 was when I got into the industry. 2020, obviously things started to change globally. And the products that were readily available then, even the dosages or the products that were able to be shipped in and things like that, Minnesota has really tightened up on what's allowed on the hemp side.
Okay.
And some of that, people throw stones, but some of that was potentially the lobbying done on the medical side of the industry to prevent like CBD vapes. You can't do CBD vapes here in Minnesota. Haven't for a while.
Yeah.
But even just some of the stronger like dosages, because I'm a big believer that CBD, CBG, CBN, the non-psychoactive cannabinoids should be untapped. So Future Compounds, they sell a product, 25,000 milligram tincture. So one dose or one full milliliter is like a 200 milligram dose.
Okay.
And so when folks say like CBD isn't working for them, I often ask them a little bit like, hey, well, what's your average Advil size that you take? Do you take two Skittles, 3 Skittles, 4 Skittles, how many pills do you take? Because that's like 200, 400, 600, 800. And that's like that's the level of CBD, CBG, the tincture that I like to take.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's super interesting when I start kind of getting into this well in the medical side, right? It's because not everybody's kind of receptors are the same. Not everybody's kind of built the exact same way.
Yeah.
So when I started kind of, experimenting with edibles, doing my like Euro trip in Amsterdam and all that,
Sure. Yeah.
it was a matter of like, okay, some of these things put me to bed right away. Some of these things like help me focus or just keep me through the day. And some of the things, to your point, you just don't feel it until you are taking like a massive amount to really actually do the effect.
Right.
So that's super interesting for me, in the sense when I kind of jump into that and when my neurologist really was able to expand on it, and it's really been life changing. I think I want to say for a day to day.
Amazing. So, you get through your 4 years at James Madison. What type of degree did you receive and what did you study when you were in school?
Yeah, economics.
Okay.
So yeah, financial economics. That was one of those things that my dad definitely wanted to make sure I got a good degree, right? Just something that plan B, something fairly useful when I get into it. Yeah, and for me, it was really challenging. Is a challenging career. It allows you to start thinking things from a different perspective and like outside the box.
Sure.
And I think that's really helped me like apply through my entire career and kind of my background, right, from South America, everything that I've lived, economics, and that's like the right questions. And then coming from like a consultative approach with folks, especially from the Metrc side, right, versus just, hey, here's the ABCs that you have to do.
Yeah.
And it's more or less figure out what is your workflow, what are you doing in your day to day, how can Metrc kind of mold to your facility to make sure that you're still staying within compliance.
Sure.
So economics was that goal.
Yeah.
After that, went to a job fair, had no idea what I wanted to do.
All right.
Got into the copier and printer world. So it's very, for me now, going into retail ID is kind of a full circle world because I'm back again with copiers, printers, and labels. But had a successful career there, a stint. And then one day I realized, if I can stay here in this career, do this for my entire life.
Yeah.
Or I can maybe change things a little bit. My wife had never left Virginia.
Okay.
So we just said, all right, let's pack our car, get our dog in the car, and then let's go to California. Let's pick a state.
Wow.
California, I went there for a job interview, and we said, all right, let's get on the road and start figuring out how life's going to work out there.
What year did you take off?
So 2019.
Okay.
So right as about the world was about to change massively, I left a door-to-door sales job for copiers and printers to really say, hey, I'm going to figure myself out. My wife is a nurse, so that really kind of helped out in terms of like the financial stability for ourselves.
She's what?
A nurse.
Oh, a nurse. Yeah.
So that kind of helped from like the financial stability of like, all right, now I want to figure out what I want for my dream career. It's one of those nights on the drive-through, I get a Snapchat ad for Vangst.
Yeah.
Put in my resume, put in my information. A month later, I get a call from somebody at Metrc who's still there, who's still a great person. David Eagleson is just going through that interview process, and it just felt right at the time.
Wow.
It's a very family environment at the time. It was only like 30 people, I want to say.
Okay.
Everybody was a friend of a friend, or a relative. And it was, how do we make Metrc succeed and how we try to change the cannabis industry? And that was really, I think, what attracted me to Metrc itself.
Shout out to Vangst.
Yes, it's one of those things. Like I think yesterday you had somebody there in person.
Yeah.
Talking about, you never really see Vangst in person, but it was great to have them on site because they do help everybody connect across the board.
Okay.
I mean, we use it for our hires as well at Metrc, so I think it's definitely a great tool. And that's my beginnings in cannabis.
Nice.
Vangst.
And so were you based in San Diego? Is that right?
So I was making my way to San Diego. Yeah, so I put local address, San Diego. I'll figure out when I get there what's my Airbnb or where I'm going to live.
Yeah.
And yeah, at that time there was like an opening for the West Coast.
Okay.
So when I came in, they were like, all right, we're going to try to figure out how do we manage both California, Alaska, Nevada, and a couple of the states.
Okay.
So that was really nice and eye-opening for me. Kind of gave me that experience of what is a massive state like California that's been, long-standing in Colorado, to then go to like a new state, like they were still kind of working with in Nevada, with Alaska, implement in Oklahoma. And all of that, I think, building really to Minnesota.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
And everything else.
Yeah, so because I thought that was really interesting, and I think the crowd appreciated that last night as well. What's been your career path within Metrc as it relates to kind of pre-pandemic, right away at the pandemic, and I mean, California had a struggled quite a bit with the pandemic, but like it didn't slow you down necessarily from a career perspective. So how have you grown within Metrc?
Yeah, so I started as a title that's not even around anymore. As a product manager that's now transitioned to customer success. So it's really been the liaison between the state agency and Metrc.
Okay.
So on a weekly basis, depending on the state, sometimes bi-weekly, we meet with the state agencies to go over rules and regulations, feedback from the industry. What are some of the things that we think from our perspective at Metrc that we should implement or that we should all be on the lookout for? And then also feedback that the investigators are getting on site too. So what are some of the things that they're seeing, common mistakes, just really trying to nail those things. So yeah, California, Alaska, and Nevada were like the 3 states that was assigned to me. California, a lot of red tape, right? A lot of different steps. It's a great program, I think now. It's definitely continuing to grow over under the director Elliott at this time.
Okay.
And, figuring how that was going to be my life, and do I want to even California? Do I want to continue to be in the CSM job or just program management job?
Right.
Which I did for 4 years.
Okay.
So at that point, build my my wheels under me, my legs under me, as to say.
Yeah.
Implemented Oklahoma, a couple of different states, started owning the entire West Coast.
Okay.
So everything kind of West Coast and some of the states in the East Coast.
So you meet with this state and you meet with this state and you meet with this state.
Yeah. So at that time, there was a point in Metrc where it was just 3 program managers, and we had 24 states at the time.
Okay.
So it was 3 people split in all the states, kind of doing all the work of, admin, management of the states, meeting with licensees if they needed any help, being on site, doing site visits to kind of cover that gap. And then we did like a restructure completely. Went from having some states in the East Coast and the Middle and West Coast to now owning the entire West Coast, and then becoming the director of program management.
Okay.
CSM now, and then just building out that team. We were 3 guys, ended up being 2, myself and Brent, shout out to Brent.
Okay.
And then we're like, okay, how do we build this? Now we have a team of 22 folks that are really eager to, help out the state. Every state now comes with a CSM and an ACSM. Sure. Just to really help out from a proactive standpoint. I want to say that then we were really just trying to keep up with things and just trying to make sure that everything was staying afloat, and then we help as much as possible. Now with the new resources, with the new leadership that's coming to Metrc, it's been more, how can we help you proactively? How can we start working on reports, insights to help the licensees and give more bang for your buck on Metrc? If you have to use it, let's help you get a lot of benefit out of it. Yeah. And I think that's where I made the transition point in my career of, okay, I want to now start working on new products. What does that look like? And I now became the director of retail ID from the industry side.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. Nevada, I went to MJ BizCon 2019.
Okay.
Cannabis was online. Planet 13 was open. Alaska may have come after. Is that correct?
So Alaska, they actually fight with Colorado to see who was the first market to ever come live.
Really?
Yeah. So Alaska was the first one to put it into practice right away, get the first license on the ground. Colorado got the first thing set up. And Alaska actually went full adult use from the very beginning. So they didn't even have a medical license at all. They said, we're just going to open it up across the board.
I've never been, but
Good place.
yeah, I'd love to go. And because they're very much, not to put a label on them, but more freedom focused, more libertarian in a way, like let the people choose, which makes sense given, cannabis is often do we control the people or do we let the people choose what they want to do?
Yeah.
So, wow. So these markets were all online when you inherited the responsibilities that you had.
Yep.
Minnesota, though, for example, is a new market just coming online. Now, not to say you're in that same role. How many states, I guess this is kind of a question, like one of the confusing aspects to me about Metrc, as thinking Minnesota legalized August 1st, 2023. The OCM did not come out and say right away, we're using Metrc for seed to sale tracking. I understand that maybe there's been some acquisition along the way so that Metrc is really the main show or the only show. How many states was Metrc in? How many more states is Metrc in? How many states is Metrc in now? Like, what have you seen in your time from an acquisition standpoint?
Yeah. So
Adoption.
from adoption from Metrc, yeah, I want to say when I started, we had 14 states and I had to memorize all of those and just make sure I could support them. Now we have 27 states, some territories and counting.
Okay.
So Guam, Virgin Islands.
Mm.
So yeah, we've continued to grow rapidly. I want to say, I mean, it's the only seed to sale system really that's like integrated with all the different tools. And from our standpoint from Metrc is we want to allow you to do your business without slowing you down.
Sure.
So if you want to use an ERP solution, we completely integrate with that. So I've seen that I've seen and I've helped with that growth of, getting New Jersey online, going to the adult use in Maryland, going through the conversion in Nevada from, we have medical license and adult licenses. We're going to keep everything now under one. Micro businesses in California that had 3 different licenses for each role to now condense everything under one license and start tracking things through locations.
Okay.
So yeah, I think I want to say probably the acquisition or the adoption of 12 plus states in that time, and just continue to work on them to now be more proactive.
Sure.
And come up with solutions with these states that have unique pain points.
Right.
Like Massachusetts, I think it was revolutionary at its time when they rolled out the Metrc catalog. Nobody had it. It was a brand new feature that was built for them. Nevada is now kind of grabbing that and restructuring in a way that makes a lot of sense for end consumers to get access to it. But you can go to like a website, Metrc catalog, and you can see all the product that's really live in that market at that time.
Wow. Consumable products?
Consumable products,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
So as just a tool. So those states and those conversations, and we acquire adopt more states or kind of go live with them.
Yeah.
There's new pieces of functionality, new pieces of reports that we're now starting to realize in those requests, those reports that I think make a lot of sense for folks.
And my mind's racing. I'd love to talk to you about New York. I'd love to talk to you about Virginia, but like the bulk of our audience is in Minnesota, and the bulk of the folks, I won't say the bulk, there were a lot of people there last night, but there are people that weren't there last night. And so for those who haven't heard what we talked about last night yet, one of the big things that came up was tribal metric versus independent metric, or metric versus tribal metric.
Yeah.
You talk about the unique challenges that each state has. I think it's right that we address the challenges that are happening, given the majority of the supply right now is coming from tribes. So maybe rehash a little bit from last night on how Metrc is working to make that easier for the operators, and talk about the unique scenario or the unique segments that we have in Minnesota here.
Yeah, I think it's a very challenging and unique market, and in a lot of good ways. Making sure that tribals can cooperate and kind of work with a closed loop or regulated market. It's always like an intention of us.
Yeah.
You guys are in Minnesota are the first ones that have to deal with like a separate instance of Metrc, really.
Okay.
On a formal scale continuously.
Where does that come from?
So there's a lot of tribes across the country, right? In California and Nevada, they really wanted to make sure they got access to Metrc.
Okay.
Because they wanted to participate within those legal markets.
Right.
So we met with a few compacts that, represented tribes, and then we put together an instance of Metrc.
Okay.
That allowed them to mold their rules and regulations.
Okay.
And I think that's important to clarify for folks is Metrc really just molds to the rules and regulations of a state.
Yeah.
So when you have 2 governing bodies, right, the tribes versus the OCM,
yeah,
it's a matter of how can we facilitate everybody to play in a fair market, to make sure that everybody feels supported. And yes, the challenging right now, it's licensees have to do, certain extra steps in Metrc,
okay,
in order to receive the product from the tribes and send the product to the tribes as well.
Right.
But we've heard that feedback a lot.
Yeah.
With something that we're continuously working on. And we're right now finalizing some of the requirements with the OCM to allow for that interstate commerce. So it's going to be like the first ever in Metrc history that just with a couple of clicks on a different transfer potentially, as we continue to finalize those requirements.
Yeah.
Everybody will have access to the tribal instance and vice versa through the transfers of product.
Okay.
So you don't have to go through all the red tape right now, potentially all those extra clicks.
I see. What else are you hearing, from based on last night as well as coming into the Minnesota market here? What else are you hearing from operators or feedback that Metrc is actively working on with the OCM?
Yeah. So I think one of those is also being how do we get more access to Metrc, or how do we get more support and more tools? Because we're afraid of what we don't know.
Yeah.
What we can't
exactly.
see. So we're definitely investing a lot more resources and bringing in more folks to start doing some more roadshows.
Okay.
So one of the efforts that the CSM team does, and Chad here, who's the CSM for Minnesota, that they're going to be doing some roadshows when folks go live or get their licenses.
Okay.
To really do hands-on one-on-one Metrc.
Oh, wow.
Here is all the steps that you need to do. Here are the timelines exactly for Metrc. How do we do your beginning inventory? If you need one-on-one support, call me,
Yeah.
chat.
Yeah.
We'll be able to kind of just help in with folks and make sure that everybody kind of feels supported in this market, and that you're not just walking into this abyss of now I got to be in compliance and kind of go into this new territory.
Thanks for sharing. Now I'll get to the kind of the out-of-state question that I had for you, because we want to make sure that we're catering, like last night, we want to make sure we're catering to our audience. It's fun to talk about the grand scheme of things, descheduling and all the, all the potential things that may change in this industry. But Minnesota's market often gets compared on that same timeline as New York. Both states were looking to legalize at the end of 2018 into 2019. New York was a little bit ahead, I should say. The pandemic slowed things down for both states. New York's rollout has been a lot slower. When you and I were talking and interfacing, your only concern was, well, there's a deadline on the same day as the event. So like if something really goes wrong, I may have to be in New York.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the New York market, and where can we maybe not make the same mistakes that the state of New York and the operators unfortunately have had to deal with?
Yeah, no, I think it's the first thing of how to avoid some of those mistakes or that confusion is doing exactly what you're doing, to be completely honest, is doing these grassroots events, right? Just spending time with licensees, and just explaining what is Metrc, what are some of the things that you shouldn't be on the lookout for. Sometimes folks wait until the very last minute, or if there's a history of deadlines being moved in that state potentially, they'll want to wait because we think that the deadlines are going to be moved. So when you come into Metrc or a Metrc state, those deadlines for us are written in stone with the state agency. So we cannot go past December 17th, like in New York, right? To make sure everybody took advantage of that new beginning inventory process. So based on what we were talking yesterday, one of those key things for me is just making sure everybody takes advantage of that beginning inventory period. Sure. To make sure that you're bringing in all the items that you're going to be using, all the strains. Just make sure that you're planning out your inventory months in advance, or maybe a year if possible. Yeah. So you can have everything really at the fingertips versus having to submit requests or approvals once the market goes live. So that would be like my first takeaway, is just exactly what the events that you're doing, spending more time with folks, taking advantage of that beginning inventory and the support. Right. Taking advantage of existing content and videos that are out there. Okay. I know some of our YouTube videos.
Metrc YouTube. Yeah.
Metrc YouTube. I know some of them are a little outdated. We're working on revamping them, but that really gives you an insight into, okay, what is Metrc? Is it going to be the scary system that everybody's keep telling me all these scary stories? Yeah. Just make sure that you feel a little bit more hands-on. As soon as you get your license, contact Metrc support, make sure that you get credentialing. And in Minnesota, you guys will have access also to like a Sandbox. So that's where I really recommend operators to spend their first 10 days in, use a Sandbox, go through all the workflows that you're doing, make sure that once that deadline of beginning inventory goes live, everything has to be tagged with a Metrc package tag and a plan tag. Retail item IDs have to go on live, that you are very well prepared months in advance or even like weeks in advance, just waiting until December 17th to come up with some of those items.
I think about human nature a lot, regardless of whatever we're doing. Like we have to plan for human nature, right? You have to plan against it, right? You have to understand that that ultimately, if you don't put any constraints, human nature is going to win out. So it's like, whether it's procrastination or just like whatever it might be, human nature, you can't avoid it. We're human. Yeah. And so we have to understand our environment. We have to understand our thinking, and communication, like Spencer talked about last night. Communication is number one. Yeah. Making sure that you feel heard, making sure that your point is out there. And that's what we like to do. We like to meet the market where it's at. That's always our goal. Last night, I think we nailed it. We don't always nail it, but if we give ourselves enough time, if we communicate, if we plan, if we bring enough smart people together, good things happen.
Yeah, no, I think, bringing all those key resources, right? I think yesterday you represented almost every aspect of a business, right? From how to start getting set up, getting some compliance help, some accounting, some tools in their day-to-day. And I really think that's important, is that people start looking at this as now we're going to almost like this corporate world where you like it or not for cannabis, right? So as a dispensary, you're going to have a lot more in comparison to a retail store than you would with a legacy cannabis market or an operator that does dispensary. Yeah. So kind of starting mimicking those processes, those workflows would really help people with their day-to-day, just expanding in the future. So I would say that's another lesson to keep learning as Minnesota operators come live.
Right.
Take advantage of these like established industries, right? Like there's agricultural practices that we're seeing in alcohol, right? That
Yeah.
will translate immediately to cannabis. One conversation that I had with somebody once, she came from Jack Daniel, and they were using RFID technology across their entire facilities for Jack Daniels. So, I have tons of acres, just making sure that you can move plants quickly if you're a large operator, that you're tracking all that information. Just take advantage of those tools.
Yeah, great call out. Before we wrap up, Luis, today is December 18th, 2025. There's rumblings that the president may deschedule cannabis from Schedule 1, which is more more akin to heroin, to Schedule 3, which is more like pharmaceuticals. What can you theorize on this topic? What might it do for the cannabis industry that we both participate in? And you can't necessarily speak for Metrc, but what are you feeling around this potential news?
Yeah, almost like right now. But I think given my 2 cents on it, it's something that a lot of us in Metrc that have been here for a long time have always pondered what is going to happen if it gets descheduled, or if it gets reclassified into new path. And I think that's where we are working on, trying to, with the help of OCM here in Minnesota specifically, almost trying to like future-proof ourselves, right, with functionality for interstate commerce.
Yeah.
Right. So if that is something that then changes and allows states to transfer product from one to another,
Right.
we want to make sure that licensees, the states, feel supported, that you have that capability to just keep taking advantage of the technology.
Yeah.
So for me, I mean, from a personal standpoint, I think it would be great, and it's going to help a lot of folks. It's going to be a massive change to the board and all the players right now.
Right.
A lot of rules might change. But I think we're living in an exciting time to, again, just continue to push to the goals of cannabis. And then all of us as a community, fight these roadblocks that we encounter.
Right.
In same conversations, different states, almost like at the same time.
Yeah.
But all of us coming together, having these conversations, and then just making sure that we can partner out in the future.
Yeah, it's an exciting time for Minnesota to be seeing their first full year of online adult use with respect to products and plants being in the ground. So I'm certainly excited. It's the end of 2025. Thank you for coming out to Minnesota. We really appreciate it. Hope to see you again next year.
Absolutely. First time in Minnesota, so I love the Twin Cities. I got to say that. And I love some of those drinks that you guys have here.
Absolutely. Yeah. Shout out to the Low Dose hemp beverages, the Low Dose edibles, and we'll make sure to send you off with a Cocoa Flow to go.
I appreciate it.
Luis,
so much, Steven.
Good to see you.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.